In this story, we will meet Kaito, a normal low-ranked adventurer, but it all changes one day as he finds one of the rarest items, which unlocks an S-rare servant for him. Alright, so we start off in the year 2019. Countless numbers of structures suddenly appeared underground. Now these underground labyrinths are called dungeons. Armies of several countries have been sent in on several expeditions. These dungeons go for hundreds of floors with various areas still unexplored. Inside these dungeons, a plethora of treasures and monsters lurk. Limited to inside the dungeon, the existence of levels, skills, and magic has been identified. And you guessed it, it's the same as in fantasy games. An exciting world like that has opened up in these dungeons. A never-before-seen era of expedition has arrived. Countries all over the world began fighting over the treasures and resources, and so the task of braving dangerous territories was tasked to civilians. This gave birth to a new organization for those qualified to enter the dungeons, called adventurers, and in the year 2024, Japan issued a dungeon law. Thus came the era where everybody is allowed to enter dungeons. With that, we head to the year 2028, and right here, we see Takagi Kaito, who is currently exploring the first floor of a dungeon near his neighborhood. He then looks out of the corner and sees some sort of slime, thinking that it still hasn't noticed him. He then explains that he's a high schooler still, and that he could also be called a mob. Even so, he is a proper adventurer. He then thinks that he just needs to wait for the slime to get a tiny bit closer. After that, when it's the perfect time, he jumps out of the corner and starts to spray the slime. We then learn that it's his anti-slime bug spray, which has a price of 800 yen. He thinks that after finding out slimes are weak to bug spray, he doesn't even consider them threats anymore. But this looks to be changing real quick as we see the slime getting angry, as he then decides to just jump recklessly around all of the walls, leaving Kaito pretty stunned. After that, the slime goes in for a real menacing hit as he goes right at Kaito's stomach. After that, we see Kaito down on the ground as he admits that it was a nice finish. But after that, we can see the slime starting to light up until it isn't here anymore and leaves some sort of piece behind. We then move back to Kaito, who seems to be pretty hurt. But he says that after 3 pieces in 3 hours, he can't forget to collect them. We then learn that these stones are called magic shards. They're the monster's hearts. You can sell these magic shards in the expedition office. A slime's magic shard goes for about 500 yen a piece. Because of how common and weak they are, it doesn't fetch a high price. Kaito then starts to wonder if a normal part-time job wouldn't just pay better than this. Suddenly, he can hear a strange sound before some lights start to appear right around him. Kaito then says, "Status." And with that, he gets up a menu with all of his information, and there he can see that he has gone from level 2 to level 3. This gets him super hyped up and excited. While smiling, he thinks that he became an adventurer 2 years ago as a 15-year-old, and now the fruits of his slime-grinding labor have blossomed. Even though he is only a wood rank now, if he keeps leveling up, then someday he will move much higher. We then learn that they use an adventurer rank system here, saying that you can get a license by taking a 1-week course, provided you cash out 100,000 yen and be above 15 years of age. But the Adventurers Association created a clear hierarchy for adventurers, and your ranking is determined by your achievements. He then explains that he too someday will become an orichalcum ranked adventurer, and we then see a vision of a girl seeming to be around his own age. After that, he starts to get up and says that he has decided, as he is now determined to challenge the second floor. He starts to walk down as he thinks that the second floor is supposedly filled with goblins and other humanoid monsters. Well, then he researched and planned thoroughly, but still he wonders just what kind of monsters it will be. We then see him with a wooden sword, which costs 1500 yen. As he has finally walked down, he sees his first encounter, and they look pretty ugly, to be fair. Even Kaito seems to be looking at them with disgust, as he thinks that an encounter this early on, and 2 of them, no less, is ridiculous. He starts to then freak out a bit as he thinks that this is bad, and he wonders if he can solo this. He knows that he can still run back up the stairs if he wanted to, but suddenly he sees something behind them. He sees that there are piles of trash, and that there are backpacks, equipment, and even clothes all thrown about. He looks at the monsters, and says that they are chewing gum even though they're goblins. They're even smoking cigarettes. He starts to take his sword up, and thinks that these 2 are probably camping in the entrance to ambush and rob newbie adventurers blind. With that in mind, he explains that running isn't an option, as he needs to teach these pieces of trash a lesson. With that, he knows that this is where his legend will properly start, and he then starts to rush right at the monsters. But in the next scene, we see him with his face right down to the ground as he is confused. After that, the goblins start to drag his face up, and Kaito explains that goblins sure are strong, and he has a ton of blood coming out of his nose. We see the goblins continuing to beat him up, and Kaito says that they are really scary. After that, one of them takes his wooden sword and is about to hit Kaito, but before he can do so, the other one stops him and grabs the sword. Kaito thinks that they are fighting each other. With that, he knows that right now is his chance. He starts to climb up the stairs while thinking that he has completely underestimated the lower floors. He really thought that he was going to die, or scratch that, as he was in fact at the brink of death. All the talk about goblins being small fries, a staple trash character in fantasy, is all a bunch of lies. After that, we get to the Adventurer Expedition Center. The text explains that there is also something called a dungeon guild, a base for adventurers to post and receive jobs. There's a dungeon information center, a hub for gathering party members, and there are markets for selling obtained magic shards. Everything related to the dungeons is provided here. We then see some random guy looking at someone else as he asks if he got promoted to Iron Rank, asking if he is able to go up to the 5th floor now, and calling him a real big shot. We then see the guy, and we still haven't got a name for any of them. Anyway, he says that he did through a pretty hard time back at the 4th floor, but this isn't such a bad place if he does say so himself. We then see the girl on his right, telling him that he has been saying it like he did all of this by himself. The guy apologizes and tells her to not get it wrong, explaining that of course he wouldn't have been able to go to the 5th floor without her around. We then see the previous guy looking at this and saying that he sure has it nice, thinking that maybe he should stop hanging out with random thugs and start forming a party with girls. After that, they suddenly look over towards Kaito. One of them says that he looks pretty amazing, wondering what kind of life and death battle he went through, explaining that it's probably a pro-adventurer who's gone deep into the dungeons. We then move to Kaito, who in his head thinks that they are wrong, thinking that he's just a mob adventurer who got beat up on the 2nd floor and ran back home. We then continue to hear the others from the side, wondering if he is a gold rank undertaking the 20th or maybe even the 30th floor. Kaito, on the other hand, just once again thinks that they are wrong and that he is wood and that it's good for the environment, saying that it's obvious if you think about it. Goblins have both intelligence and monster-like strength. There's no way a high schooler could manage that, thinking that there is absolutely no chance in hell. Kaito then starts to emanate an insane aura, and the others notice it. They then wonder if he might help them with the 5th floor if they ask him nicely. Kaito in his head begs them to not, thinking that he won't live up to their expectations at all. Just then, we see the girl going to him and asking if he has a second. But just then, suddenly, he gets called up. So he, with no hesitation at all, starts to rush away. He then starts to freak out as he thinks that each and every one of them is having fun forming parties while he has been stuck going solo for the past 2 years. However, he says that it's not like he is jealous or anything, which in itself sounds like a lie. He thinks that it sure is depressing and that he will just sell these shards and head home real quick. Kaito then goes to take a seat, and a woman tells him that it looks like he has had it rough. Kaito tells her that it's nothing much but that it's true. We then learn that this person is the Adventurer Expedition Center's state dungeon staff, Miss Hitsugaya. Hitsugaya then tells him that they have received the reports and that they are glad that he was able to return and recover safely, telling him to please stop trying to go solo and instead form groups. However, while she is speaking, Kaito just thinks about how pretty she is. Hitsugaya then continues as she tells Kaito that even though it's just the upper floors, it's really dangerous to challenge newer floors if you are alone. After that, Hitsugaya asks him if he's even listening, and Kaito then snaps back to reality. Kaito then tells her that even if she says that, there's just no one who he can click with. Hitsugaya tells him that all solo adventurers say that. It's a different story if he is using servants, but going on lone expeditions really is very dangerous. Kaito is shocked and asks her what servants are, asking if it's like summoned warriors or monsters. Hitsugaya tells him that there is a very small chance monsters will drop rare cards. With those cards, you'll be able to summon servants as soon as you are inside the dungeon. She goes even deeper as she explains that summoned monsters vary from card to card, from goblins to dragons. There are also especially rare god cards that can summon beings like angels. Not much is known about them, but so far, there's only been around 100 of these cards confirmed to be found. Kaito is instantly intrigued as he asks that if you can get your hands on them, can you do things solo? Hitsugaya then tells him that if you sell it at an auction, it could probably go for around 1 billion yen, although none have ever been sold so far. Kaito is completely mind blown as he hears that amount. Anyway, Hitsugaya then tells him that this is the reward for today's magic shards, a total of 35,000 yen, telling him to please check it. While Kaito is doing so, he thinks that the fruits of killing slimes for a month. He then sighs as he thinks that it looks like he is in the red this month too, saying that getting an S-rank servant card's just a pipe dream, he guesses. After that, Kaito tells Hitsugaya that he will come back once he has gathered more magic shards. Hitsugaya tells him that she awaits his return. We then see him leaving, but Hitsugaya calls out to him. She tells Kaito to please not get discouraged, telling him that it's alright to do things at his own pace. We then see Kaito starting to blush a ton from that, but just then, the people from earlier find him and ask if they can now talk with him. However, we then see Kaito running away in a flash. After that, we see Kaito at home. He thinks that aside from slimes, all monsters in dungeons have a low chance of dropping an item, so slimes don't drop anything. The drop rate is around 1 to 3%. He explains that major drops include potions, equipment, and rare metals. A magic orb that lets you use magic, a skill block that makes you remember skills, and vital jellies that increase your ability points. Rare items drop even less frequently, and servant cards fall into that category. There doesn't seem to be any info on the net regarding god cards aside from what Hitsugaya told him. He looks lost, as he knows that he wouldn't want a goblin for a servant. But a cool red dragon strong enough to defeat the Demon King would be nice, thinking that he will just let him dream for a bit. But he then tells himself that it's wrong, thinking that right now he needs to focus all that he has on solely recovering and that he needs to sleep right away. With that, we head right into 3 months later. Here we see an innocent smile just walking around in the dungeon, but then, out of nowhere, we see Kaito coming out of nowhere and spraying him with his bug spray. He stands above it and explains that with this one, it's now 2 today. He says that he has completely healed up, but he won't be careless anymore, as he will steadily kill slimes on the first floor. Just then, he can hear some steps approaching him. We see that it's some sort of slime-like creature that walks out of the shadows. Kaito is super shocked as he questions what it is. He says that it grew legs and that it's a rainbow-colored slime, explaining that he has never seen a slime like this in his 2 years of hunting them. He knows for a fact that this isn't normal, but suddenly it's behind Kaito and he wonders just when it became so fast. But it's not just that time either, as we then see him speeding up like crazy as he's running circles on Kaito. After that, the slimes decides to go for an attack as he slams himself right into Kaito, who seems to block it a bit at least. Kaito tries to hit him with the spray, but he thinks that it doesn't work. We see Kaito struggling a bunch and he thinks that it's just so fast and that if he could just catch it, then he would be able to do something, even for just a second. He has no choice but to stop its movements. However, all that confidence goes right out of the window as we then see the slime bouncing on the walls in an unbelievable speed, and Kaito can't understand anything that is going on. The slime is getting hit after hit on Kaito, and he very well knows that this is bad and that he can't keep up, thinking that he is really losing. However, after that he takes out his spray cans and says that there's no way that he is going to lose, and after that, with one in each hand, he starts to spin around as he sprays his spray, thinking that he will just spray around the whole place. We then get into his head as he asks the slime how this is, thinking that no matter how fast you are, there's only so much room to run in this cramped hall. After that, we are able to see the slime lying on the floor. Kaito starts to celebrate right away as he looks super happy. He says that this technique's weakness is that he also ends up inhaling the smoke, as we can then see him starting to vomit a bit. But suddenly, he looks back towards the body. There he doesn't see a magic shard, but instead he sees a dropped item, which is insane. He goes towards it as he thinks that slimes don't drop anything, but could this be something else? He looks at the angelic image, reading the name as Sylphie, and thinking that it's a foreign script, but that he can somehow read it. He looks intensely at the card as he then thinks that his guts are telling him that this might be a god-class servant. After that, Kaito screams out of pure happiness. He screams out 1 billion, and he starts to run as fast as he can. He even goes past some other adventurers who just wonder what is wrong with him. Kaito then thinks that the day he arrived, he received multiple reports of a suspicious figure running around the dungeon's first floor, emanating a strange shriek. We then move scenes as we go to the first floor altar hall. Here we see Kaito meditating as he tells himself to calm down. He thinks that it's too early to be happy, and that he still hasn't confirmed that this is an S-rare card. Kaito thinks that he could get it appraised at the guild, but it might be a pain if people find out he has an S-rare card. With that, he says that he's basically holding 1 billion yen after all, explaining that it wouldn't be strange if wannabe thugs came after him if they found out. He then reads on the card, and it says that it's the race of Valkyrie, a demigod from Norse legends. If this status really is legit, then this is a god-class servant. Kaito thinks that judging from this picture, she must be a gentle and beautiful older sister type. He does admit that he has wanted a big brother or sister before when he was a kid. He says Sylphie's name and thinks that if he summons her, then she would be his servant. He continues as he thinks that according to Hitsugaya, servants can only be used by the person who summoned them first, so if you summon it, it will immediately lost its market value. If he wants to cash out the 1 billion yen and live lavishly, then he needs to sell it and not summon it. He wonders just which one he should take. He thinks back and forth for a while, before he thinks that he should just summon it. With that, he takes the card up to his face and tells Sylphie to come out. While this is happening, he thinks that he didn't become an adventurer for riches, nor for any ulterior motives. He became one because he has a dream. This is the decision of an adventurer who became one to witness the wonders inside the dungeons. Anyway, after that he looks confused. He thinks that you just summon it by calling the name and holding the card, right? Wondering why nothing worked. However, he then looks up and sees a whole angel-looking creature looking right at him. Kaito thinks that it sure is huge and wonders if servants really are this big. After that, it gets extremely bright, totally blinding Kaito. When the light has gone away, Kaito opens his eyes and thinks that it disappeared, wondering just where it went. But after that, he looks under him, and there he can see a girl looking right at him, and Kaito sure is lost right here. After that, Kaito looks around once again, before going down and asking the girl. He calls her little lady, and asks her if she saw a tall, beautiful woman, explaining that she was floating here just a second ago. The girl then points to herself, but Kaito asks her if she really is sure, explaining that it isn't good to lie. But after that, the girl speaks up and tells Kaito that it isn't a lie. Kaito just thinks that her voice seems to be piercing right through him. We then see the girl saying that she is called Sylphie, and that she came before him to answer his summoning, explaining that she will be his servant, and that she will sincerely do her best to serve him in a way that she can be of use. Sylphie then starts to smile, and Kaito thinks that she sure is cute. However, he thinks that she is like a 10-year younger version of the beautiful woman on the card. Besides, there are tiny wings floating on her back, making one think that it's obvious she's no normal human, so she must be a servant after all. However, just after that, Kaito falls right to the ground as he screams out that this isn't what he had expected at all. We then see Sylphie in the back being super confused. However, Kaito thinks that this girl isn't the servant he dreamed of when he just wasted that ticket to 1 billion. He tells himself that he should have thought more seriously before doing it. While he is in that state, Sylphie calls out to him and asks him if there is something wrong with her, and she looks super worried. Kaito right away snaps back and thinks that he didn't realize that. He then gets up and tells her that it's nothing at all, but that it's just his chronic illness of 1 billion seizures. Sylphie is confused as she asks him if something like that exists in this world. Kaito tells her that it happens all the time and that there's no need to pay any attention to it. After that, Sylphie tells him that from now on, he should leave all the fighting to Sylphie and that it would be bad if he were to collapse. Kaito just looks at her and thinks that she has such clear eyes. After that, he thinks that Sylphie really does care about him, yet here he is, thinking about his 1 billion or whatever. After that, he thinks that his heart sure hurts, and we see Sylphie on the side, who looks worried once again as she asks Kaito if this is the 1 billion seizures again. Kaito, however, looks at her and tells her that it's different and explains that he is alright, telling Sylphie that it looks like the seizures have already resolved thanks to her. Kaito then pats Sylphie on her head and thanks her, while she is just super confused. Kaito then, in his head, thinks that his dream is more important than even 1 billion yen, and that he made this choice all by himself, so he won't regret it. After that, he gets down on the same height as her, and tells her that he is Kaito, and that it's nice to meet her. Sylphie just right away tells him that he doesn't need to get on his knees for someone like her, telling Kaito that it is unacceptable. Kaito just tells her that it's fine, and that there is no need to be so formal.